Hi, for this week's video, I wanted to cover a subject that I'm sure a lot of people are just going to look at this title and go, this is stupid, why did he even do a video on this? Because I know all this already. Probably not. If you actually sit down and watch this video, I'm sure I will cover something that you did not think of or know of. So this video is about keyboards. Keyboards are a lot different than they used to be in the old days. Keyboard used to be just a keyboard. Open up Word, type in what you need. Now they do lots and lots of things. There are things like hotkeys and shortcut keys and all kinds of things you can do with these. Not to mention, if you're a gamer, all you gamers out there that think, oh, you know all about keyboards. No, there's a huge variable out there. For one, you have USB, PS2, wireless, even some Bluetooth, some other different frequencies out there, some other things that are out there that may not be a wide stream, well-known thing that's out there, but there are other things out there nowadays. Keyboard layout, key layout, number pad, arrows, where simple things are, where the delete key is. Some keyboards don't even have this section. These keys will be over here, and there's so many different variables out there. Keys, the actual keys themselves. Here's a different style keyboard with the different style keys. LED, backlit, standard, glow in the dark. These are all variables now on keyboards. You have your simple hotkeys. Let's see, none of these have function keys. Some keyboards actually have function keys. A play, audio, pause, fast forward. Other than your F1 keys up top. Those are a different kind of a function key. There are lots of variables you can look at. You now have keyboards where they're actually split, where you have, due to how you type, you have your right hand, your left hand, and you have the certain keys. Some of them are actually split, so it's like a V in the middle where there's nothing, so you can actually turn your hands and separate. Some of them have the wrist guards that you can put your wrists on. Like that one that I showed earlier with the stand-up keys. That's LED. You can change the colors on it. Have a review of an unboxing on that. There are so many variables now on a keyboard. So I decided I wanted to do a video because really I'm focused again on home and business. When you buy a computer off the shelf, you normally just get a cheap style keyboard. Got one here. Well, this one's actually a Dell with the nice wrist thing to rest on a little bit. This is actually a nicer style, not what you usually get. Some of the ones that have been coming in with like gamer keyboards and mice. Now, if you're interested in something like that, it's something to think about because keys are in different places. The back, the delete key, they're in different places on that keyboard. That side of the keys are different. That's a variable you want to look at. Because if you're someone who's going to be typing a lot, this is what you're going to be doing as a home business or on a job site, you probably want to get the standard keyboard layout. Something that if someone knows how to type, they can sit in front of, type their reports without it entering, jumping down, doing other things because a key has been moved or widened or some other feature of that keyboard. So going back to the beginning of this, where people thought, oh, I know everything about keyboards already. Have I already brought up something that you did not know? So there's a lot of factors that come into this. And another factor is, for me, make sure you hit the subscribe down below. I want to throw that in here right now, because I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. This is just a first look at keyboards. I'm not going to be taking them apart. I'm not going to be showing you any of the insides. Those videos will all come later. This is a first look. This is basically for you home users and you business people. Why is this related to business? I just mentioned typing, standard layout. If you're in a business and you have someone that has to do a lot of reports that has to type, you want to make sure you have the standard keyboard. And what key style? This flat keys I don't like. As from a review I did with unboxing, that one I pulled out, the LED, I know it's pretty dark, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got higher keys. Those are the keys I like. I have a bigger hand. Works better for me. I don't like those little thin keys because then I have to really flatten my hands or really curve my fingers to do what I want. These are all factors that you look at when you do these. That one has it. Here's another prime example. Right here, this panel. What you need as an IT professional. Do you need these keys for something? As you can see in that panel, there was 5 keys. This keyboard has 6 keys in that little panel. It has a home button. That one has a home button. It's in a different place. These are things that really, when you look at a keyboard, you want to find out. Because if you're doing a big business, or you're doing a server stacks and you have multiple terminals where you need to remote into, you may want to look at what keyboards are on those terminals. Because for you to change screens between servers, and let's say you have to hit the Alt key to change, or the Delete key, depending on the make, brand, however they set it up for you to change those screens. If your Delete key's here on this keyboard, but then on another one it's over here, well, you might end up hitting the wrong key. You got to stop, you got to look, you got to see what you're doing. It's much easier to have the same keyboard style at all your same terminals, so you don't have to, oh, why ain't this working? Let me stop. Oh, okay, I'm hitting the wrong key. By that time, you've stopped your focus on what you're doing, and you broke what you're doing. Then you have to restart. I know it's not that big of a deal, but when you do it, and you do it a lot during the day, and you're doing that 5 or 6 times a day, or a week, it can kind of get annoying. Because of what? You didn't make sure you had the same layout. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Number pad. Some keyboards don't even have the number pad. That is for when you do your mathematics and accounting and everything that they can key in. If they're an accountant that knows how to use that pad, just like typing, they know where the buttons are, that's a handy tool. You want to make sure that's the standard. Some keyboards will actually have now that are wider, where that is spread out further, that is away from your keyboard. It's good and bad. You know, then you have to reach a little further. But there's some people that can actually type with one hand on what they're doing and do the numbers. So they might want that extra space between the keyboard and the numbers. Some people don't even want that function. They don't even use that. There's keyboards that don't even have that. You might be at home go, well, why wouldn't you want that? Well, you don't need that because you have them along the top. All your function keys are, the numbers and stuff are up top. This is a different purpose than this. Some of the really old keyboards don't have that. That was kind of added for certain features. These are some of the little variables I wanted to bring up because I see it. We get stuff in, I set up computers, I do stuff. I'm like, whoa, where did they get this funky layout of a keyboard? Then I have to go ask the person that's going to be using that computer, do you want the new keyboard? Do you want to keep your old one, or do you want me to find you a different style? Depending on what duties they're doing, how they're doing it, sometimes you have to have a certain style keyboard for accounting. Sometimes you want to have a certain kind of keyboard for human resources, someone who's typing a lot. You know, you want to make sure there's the wrist guards and this and that. You know, you may want to look at what there is. You may want to buy a nicer, upgraded keyboard. Goes back to, also, I'm not going to get into the gaming aspects of latency and all of those factors. But that is also a factor in business. Because if you buy a wireless keyboard where there's a latency is like if you hit Y and it takes 6 seconds before the Y pops up on your screen, that's your latency. That's how long it takes between this point and that point. I want to just do a rough summary here for home users, because this might come into play for home users, because there's some home users now that are doing business at home. Well, one of the things that I found and I don't like about wireless is, even though I'm not a fast typer, I know I've hit a certain key, spelling a certain word, and that letter doesn't appear. So you need to know all of those factors about wireless keyboards. So probably the basic best practice for wireless keyboards is basically you pay for what you get. If you're buying a $5 cheap wireless keyboard, odds are you're going to have latency and it's going to be slow. If you're someone like me that types real slow, single key, a lot of things that, I don't type really fast, you might be able to get away with that. If you're a home person, you go online, you pay some bills, okay, I'm going to pay, car payment, you type in car payment, and you're not in that high-speed, random business gear, you can get away with something like that. Business-wise, you want to stick to the upper lines because of factors like that. Plus, some of those more expensive ones will actually conserve your battery. That's another factor with these, is there's batteries in these. Some of the cheap ones don't even have on or off switches. Like this one, I don't even know if it has an on or off switch. I don't believe it does. A lot of the nice ones, a lot of the new ones, actually physically have a switch you can turn off and on. Just found on this does have specialty keys. They're all down here. If you're a home user, maybe you watch movies a lot on your computer, you have your video archives on your computer, you open up your video, hit the play button, it'll play. Oh, you got to do something, phone's ringing. Don't really want to say this because you shouldn't really be doing that. It's kind of inappropriate. Working at home, You're watching your video, your phone rings, and it's a work call. Oh, I can pause that real quick, answer the phone, help the customer with what they need, remote in, do what you need to do, help that customer, hang up, hit that button, go right back to your movie, whatever you're watching. Now, that also works for you at home. Same scenario. So you may want to look at something like that. As an admin side or a business professional, you may not want that at your work, because you know people are probably going to abuse it and use it. Wouldn't say abuse it, but they'll use it. They're supposed to be working. So these are just some of the small factors I wanted to bring up. I know everybody's probably going to say they know most of this. You can go online, do more homework on this, but this is a factor for this video, my first look video of keyboards, that I wanted to go through some of these details. Because especially now, and everybody's working at home, doing schooling at home, you might be having a few little issues now because you're trying to do certain software and do certain things you weren't doing before. It might be just easy to go out and buy a new nice keyboard. You may need to do that. You might have one of those cheap generic brand ones that they sent or you bought with the computer. You know, go out and spend $60, $80 on a nice keyboard. That might help you out. Maybe you don't like these flat keys. Maybe you like the ones like I showed you earlier. Simple remedies, especially if it's USB. Unplug, plug in. Wireless, basically the same, but you got to load some drivers and a few other things. You know, it's fairly easy. Some of these hotkeys you might have to set in your computer's OS preferences, so when you hit that button, that it knows that that keyboard has the permission to start playing or doing whatever. Sometimes there's some permission things. That's another factor. But most of the time, it should just operate fine. But want to bring that up because you might run into that. Because again, this is for home and admin people. If you're at home, you're not an admin that would know these type of things to know to look for that. So I'm bringing it up for you. So I think that will cover most of keyboard stuff. Check out all the videos. Next one I've got coming is on the mouse. I know you're all going to say, oh, I know everything. Did you know everything from this video? If you actually seen this video and something shocked you, that there might be a lot that shock you on the next one too. So, after watching this one, check out the one on the mouse. Thank you. And make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you leave your comments.